Journey to the liver, which is the most warm tissue in the body, and I promise to get you back very soon. Now, talking about the perspectives in the hepatocellular carcinoma or the management of hepatocellular carcinoma, as you see, the liver is always, when it reaches the fibrotic or the cirrhotic stage, the cancer always comes on the top of a cirrhotic liver, as you see. Actually, hepatocellular carcinoma is a terrible problem worldwide. It represents about the third cancer among the male and the fifth cancer among the female. You know, the females are always lucky. And it sometimes differs in ranking in different countries, and it represents the third cause of cancer deaths all over the world, and the first cause of cancer of death in patients with cirrhosis, and totally represents about 5% of all cancers worldwide. The incidence of hepatocellular carcinoma is over 1 million deaths per year. 10% of them are not adults, but about 90% are adults. The geographic distribution of the hepatocellular carcinoma worldwide, as you see, for the females, it's somehow different from the males. And the majority for the females which have hepatocellular carcinoma in the middle of Africa, and at the Middle East, there is about from 2 to 3%, which is double this figure among the males worldwide. Imagine that the world spend about $20 billion only for cancer research, not for cancer therapy, just for the research. Imagine the amount for the treatment. Because, you know, the problem is the cancer, liver, especially liver cancer, do not respond well to the conventional chemo or even the radiotherapy treatment. There are a lot of the risk factors which finally lead to hepatocellular carcinoma or liver cancer, including cirrhosis, as I said, which is rising among many Arab countries, and hepatitis C. the drinking water is a chlorination. There is no other alternative worldwide for purification of the water in the tubes other than the chlorination. Unfortunately, this chlorination converts some of the organic materials which are coming from the traces in the ground into di or trichloro products, which are also hepatocarcinogens. There is a very specific algal toxin, which is microcystin. It is mostly found in China. Also, China is very famous by liver cancer and by the liver transplantation centers and so on. Solvents and flavors, which are synthetic colors and taste improving materials, also are responsible for this problem, and even the excessive bile acids, when there is a biliary obstruction or something like that, by cancer of the head of the pancreas or by some of the stones, biliary stone. So we are looking for some natural and even the chronic exposure, chronic exposure to the bile acids is responsible for an inflammation. The inflammation is always the bridge that comes before carcinogenesis, whatever in the liver or most other organs. You know, the inflammation is a process of defending against some sort which may hurt the body or the cell. But you can imagine that these inflammatory mediators, which are supposed to be protectors, like the soldiers of distinguishing a fight, for example, if there are much more peoples and the cars and and water, it may destroy the place instead of protecting it against the fire. How we can diagnose the hepatocellular carcinoma? We have some non-invasive techniques like imaging, like clinical time, or blood marker, which is well known, which is alpha-fetoprotein, or by an invasive technique, which is biopsy. The problem in the diagnosis of the liver cancer or other cancer is the sensitivity and the specificity of the tumor markers. Always the specificity of the tumor markers, whether in the liver or the colon or the breast or wherever any cancer in the body, ranges from 60 to 65%. What does it mean? It means that if you have 100% diagnosed patients for cancer by biopsy, which are you sure that they have cancer, and you rely on the biological biomarkers in the blood, it means that 35% of cancer patients will escape diagnosis. This is why it is very important to look for an alternative for the biochemical markers. And this is the role of the biochemist, should find out some new parameters to either suggest the new parameters or at least strengthen or increase the specificity and the sensitivity of the current tumor markers. What are the major problems we are facing? Actually, we need surveillance programs for the hepatocellular carcinoma case everywhere, which is not found. Probably it is found in some European countries, in the United States, but I think most of the East have no program or no surveillance programs to know in which country there is a number is higher, in which village, in which city, and so on. And inefficient sensitivity, as I said, of the tumor markers like alpha-fetoprotein, and unfortunately, many patients may escape or even delay biopsy, and even if accepted, feel very bad. The hepatitis B and C, its prevalence also, especially in the Middle East and the Far East, constitute a major source for the hepatocellular carcinoma. And the problem is the management of these viruses is very, very limited. The current treatment is so expensive, like ribavirin and interferon is very expensive. This is one issue. The other issue is this combination therapy has serious side effects. The third issue is not all, even the patients, nor the doctors accept this modality for treatment, and sometimes they escape to the natural medicine or the CAM, which is complementary and alternative medicine. Adding to that, a lot of media also confuse the patient. There is a lot of, we have, for example, at the Arab side, I think about 400 channels. A lot of them talk about the medicine and the herbal medicine and natural medicine and so on and so, and try to convince the patient and the viewers that there is a treatment or a very good treatment for the hepatitis C, and they spend the time actually till hepatocellular carcinoma arises for the patient. What are our ongoing efforts to face this problem? I have three parallel lines I will very shortly try to go through. First, finding more specific and sensitive biomarkers to elevate alpha-fetoprotein protein diagnostic performance. Actually, I made myself and my team a lot of trials to find some. You know, the major problem is to find a specific marker for a specific organ. You know that the DNA in all the cells is the same. This is why the proteins coming from the cell mostly the same. Most of the products come from the cell to the bloodstream also the same. You know, it is very hard to decide that this protein, oh, as Archimedes say, Eureka, this protein came from the liver or came from the breast. You know, getting the resolution that there is a new marker is very hard. This is why we try to make, you can say, transverse investigation for a lot of metabolites that thought to come from the liver. For example, we measure the extracellular matrix component like collagen, total sialic acid, and the 3-glucosamine. There is a measured disturbance, as you see, and the enzymes which proteolyze these proteins. And actually, it is very important that collagen is decreased before hepatocarcinogenesis, which I think most of the, or a lot of the publications say that the liver cancer comes over a cirrhosis, which actually is not true in the very early stage, as you see, because the collagen is a very important symptom for the cirrhosis. We also measure the proteolytic enzyme activity like papain, pepsin, and the lysosomal membrane integrity. You know, there is only effect for papain activity for proteolyzing these extracellular matrix proteins. We have a specific case for diabetes and hepatocellular carcinoma. We measure the sorbitol and the enzymes working on sorbitol solvage among the diabetics. There is also a major effect which can be relied in the diagnosis of hepatocellular carcinoma. The interleukins, the transcription factors, the fatty acid lipogenesis, like fatty acid synthesis activity and lipoprotein activity, and even triglyceride. The glucose or glucose regulatory enzymes also is promising in determining the new or at least helpful tumor markers in addition to the alpha-fetoprotein. And we currently or recently published a paper about the use of this gamma-carboxyprothrombin. It was proved that to be sensitive than alpha-fetoprotein in assessing hepatocellular carcinoma. We are trying currently, and actually I'm here for making some projects with some of my colleagues in the Fiyena College of Medicine for trying some Arabic herbs as natural chemotherapeutics instead of the, or at least to increase the efficacy of the current chemo or radiotherapy. We tried some herbs like olive leaf and Lausonia nervis, which is called henna, and the Nigella sativa and the garlic, and they proved very nice results, either as protecting against hepatocellular carcinoma or chemosensitizers to the chemotherapy. I'm sorry, this is my colleagues, and this is my colleague. This is just This is from Tahrir Square. Thank you.